Hey everyone, and welcome to another stream. All right, let's get this started. I'm gonna quickly raise up the desk a bit. There we go, much better. All right, so where were we since we left it? By the way, feel free to ask your question in the chat, and then we'll take it from there. But um, what I was working was with this, and I was about to show you how it looks overall in general. So this is how it looks at the moment. Oops, not like this for sure. All right, let's see if I can start this. Yon div, no, start. So from last time, what we were doing is we were looking into updating the schema to support multiple question types for PulseChecker, and including different types as in comment, rating, multiple choice, signals, drop down, and checkboxes. Signal is the one that we had for slow, fast, blah blah blah, but we'll look into it in just a bit. Did we also create a libpc? Yeah, we also need to create a library for these types. We'll see how to do that. Let's have a look. By the way, if you're watching this from Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, type in the chat where you're from and what are you working on these days, and are you excited about holidays coming up? Let's see if everything looks good here. So the backend looks good. Just gonna wait for the front end to show up as well. So my strategy for now is, since I wanted to merge session rating, feedback rating into feedback rating and then feedback into one, what I'll do is, since I've created a new question tag, I'm going to be creating a question with configuration set to JSON, and then in this configuration will have sort of different types. And since this is a JSON object, it makes it a bit tricky to maintain because of what I want to do. So for example, if I show you the live version per se, let's have a look. So this is the one. Let's see. So for example, if I wanted to go to give a feedback to this guy, this is what I would see. So you can see we have a bunch of options, including a bunch of ratings that I could give. Then also we have the pace, and then we have the comment, and then we can submit. So this is where we are going with this. We want to be able to have multiple options or multiple kind of questions. And then, I mean, we are able to also react to these as well. For example, I don't think you see it, but if I move it like this, you can also see that we have a widget for reacting to all of these components as well, or these sessions, and all these are then sent once to our server, as in an overall count for that. So what I'm looking to do is because right now we have a feedback for these, a feedback session. Oh no, is it feedback session? No, a rating config for these, and then we have like all the feedbacks for these as well, and that's what I'm a bit concerned about. So yeah, we need to somehow make this better. So we need some database changes. But what I'm planning to do is first creating the change. So this is the new field where I'm going to migrate everything to, and then I'm going to delete the current tables that we have. So for example, session rating and feedback rating will not exist anymore. I think feedback would be there, but I think I would rather call it response instead of feedback. but this is a drastic change, but I think it's still, it will be really, it will make it really flexible for us to continue with this, because then I can have one single question table with multiple sort of tables. um yeah, so I think we'll do that. So the question is, where do we start at the moment? I think we would have to start first by getting the current ones, and then creating or migrating them to the new approach. So right now I think we should just have a question table that contains all. I'm thinking at the moment. So we need a couple of things. Let's see if we can map that down on GitHub. So if I go to my GitHub, let's go to github.com, PulseChecker. Let's quickly open the project right here. Okay, this one is actually done. Session list item action during the dashboard refactor, that is done. Loader while session to edit being loaded, that is also done. Loader while session is being created is also done. I think no, let's actually see these ones. So when we go to edit a particular element, we can see the loader. That's good. So this one is done. Then we also had oops, not this one. Go back. When creating a new one, while we are creating, we should be able to, let's say, reptbi host, and if I just create this session, no, I don't see a loader here unless this is created, so we need a loader right there as well. So that one is not done, so we can also make that one, or do that one first, and then we can come back to this. So let's see. So here we do have our Docker Compose YAML. Let's update that. Schema Prisma. Yeah, I think we can still commit it, or we could also stash it. Git add, git stash. Let's go to git checkout main status, and we can do, I mean, the server is already running, so let's quickly fix the local one, which is this one. Sign in with Google. There we go. Go back. December 24. This one was October 29, because they both have the same name. I was super confused. Like, what's happening? Okay, so when I have to create a new one, I should have that right inside my apps, PC web, source app. I think inside dashboard, session create, and this one. So we do have these, but I do want to show a loader once we have, or when we have the call going on. So we never show the loader at the moment. Creating session is set to true, and then it is set to false later on once this is done. So all I need is just to put the loader in there. So here we can then say that if creating session or not creating session, then I need to put it right here. Else we can just put this guy right inside the else block, and we should be good. Do we have the Angular language server updated or no? I don't think so. Let's see extensions. Angular language server. I can see that this is good. Maybe we should restart it. So restart Angular language server. Hey Yasser, how's it going? Now we don't see any error, so that's good. Create session, which it also gets the type of, so that's good. So now I can go here, say late night meetup 222, and this is localhost, yes. And if I create the session, there we go, loader right here. And then we come here and then we have late night meetup 2. Super cool. Now I can delete this as well. Okay, and then that's gone. Cool. Awesome. The last feature that I built was this one, report, which actually gives all the stats of all my all the things that we have. So all the sessions, all the feedbacks on them, any reactions being used, blah blah blah. So for example, I could go to Couchbase meetup. Here someone said too fast, but if I actually copied the link, I could go in another tab and then I could give feedback on this. So this, good pace, comment, superb, and then I can hit submit. Then the feedback is submitted, but I can also react, so you don't really see these reactions. But this is also a nice little component that I created. It's da 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 da, this, and this is built with Angular. Then I should have sent a reactions count query, and the reactions count have sent, or the ones that have been sent contains all of this. Like this is count 8 for clapping, and then this, so all of that is gone, which means if I go back to my report now, I should see something different. So here you see test quality, talks quality, test 1 2 3, but the reactions have changed now. So we can see all the reactions coming in as well. Yasir says, doing well. How about you, brother? Just watching a live session and feeding a baby. Awesome. My kid just went to sleep with his mother, so she's doing the tough part. I'm doing good. I went to a meetup today, like a family meetup. That was good. The food was amazing. The host was amazing. Had a lot of chit chat. Had a lot of discussions. So it was nice. It was nice overall. Okay, but what happens if I try to go here and go to Couchbase meetup? So look at this, good and fast. And if I change this to too slow, submit, you see automatically it changes, and it does it in real time as well. So if you are an organizer who's actually looking at the data right now, you will find this really helpful. For example, if I put this guy, oops, if I put this, Windows, please help me. No, it's not. Okay, so if I do it like this, I think that should do it. So this one, if I change this to good pace, submit, you can see automatically this updates in real time as well. And if I say it was too slow, submit, you can see it also changes right here. And then I could change this as well, and it automatically does it as well. So we are using the Supabase real-time messages API here as well. So as an organizer, or if you are actually giving a talk and you have sort of a manager or someone who's looking at, all right, a lot of people are actually saying this is too fast, then you can see that real time. And it's amazing. And you can also see that, I think, if the reaction counts change, for example, if I use the hey sign a bunch of times, then this should also come right here, as you can see. Oh, we have a bug because these also increased. Why did these increased? Because I just used this one, right? So we have a bug here as well. So reactions count right now actually sent all of those. That's bad. That's not good. So we should have resetted it as well. Let's actually fix that as well in the same code. So we do have that issue in the library. So PCUI, we should have a component with emoji bar TS, and when we do the emit, finally we here when we are emitting it, after that we should reset everything to empty. So we should have set the emoji map to null. So emoji map dot clear, and this should be good. Okay. Cool. So this is what we are not doing at the moment. So let's try this again. So if I only send my waves, let's say this is 30 at the moment, let's add two more, so that is 32. There we go. And it only sent the count 2 as well. I don't know if you can see that, but maybe if I maybe let's do it like this. So this sent the count set to 2. But if I now do a hard 3 times and or 4 times, it's 16, it should be 20 then. 1 2 3 4. Cool. So now it's 20. This is still is 32 because next time it resetted it the whole map, and then we only sent the hard 4 times. Cool. So we fixed a bug as well. Otherwise there would have been like multiple reactions. That's not good. Yasser says, quick question. How easy is switch to React to Next.js? They have the same structures, have different one, because I'm learning to React these days. It's a bit different. It's not the same. Next.js has its own recommended structure. So you have the app router inside. You have to have a page.tsx, a layout.tsx. You can have a loading tsx. I think an error tsx, a not found. There's so many things. With the React, you don't need those components. With React, you can just when it comes to folder structure, you can decide how you want it to be. So there's no enforced folder structure for React, but there is an enforced folder structure for Next.js. But I don't think it's gonna be very difficult for you to switch. Don't worry about it. Just do it. Okay. So we added the loader. We also fixed a bug as well. Maybe we should also add the bug as well. So what the bug that we just fixed was React count was being sent accumulating the previously sent reaction count as well. So this one has been fixed as well. Why does this say? Okay, because we don't have a PR. I mean, convert to issue. PulseChecker. Convert to issue. PulseChecker. Convert to issue. PulseChecker. Changing the position of the report button to the, this one has been done as well. And this one has been done as well. Okay, loader while session is being created. Convert to issue. PulseChecker. This one is essentially in progress, but we'll mark this as done in just a bit. So we can say git checkout fix create session loader git add git commit fix emoji bar I mean, dashboard fix create session loader not shown. Fix the create session loader. Also fix the emoji bar sending accumulated reactions count. Git push. Why manually subscribe? SEU James. Why manually subscribe? What do you mean? I'm subscribing this because we need to execute a function which is emitting. So you could have, do you have a better option from this one? Because what happens is if I'm clicking on a particular emoji, I'm sending the particular emoji that is being clicked. When you do that, I also need to do the animation as you saw. So it's doing both running the animation and adding that to the map as well, which you can see right yeah, here, emoji type.text emoji. So this is passing it to the subject that I've created, and then we go from there. But do you have a better option or suggestion that I can implement? If yes, then do go ahead, and then I can look into it. Mutahir says, following up on Yasser's question, switching from React to Angular, what is the complexion level? Complexion level. Complexion. Is that a word? I think complexity is the word. Level and learning curve. React is a really tiny library. Angular is a framework. So you need to understand that Angular by default, being a framework, has more things to learn. But that also means that once you learn those things, it's going to be very easy for you to keep building applications. So it becomes really easy and natural that you start with something and then you can build applications out of the box. So for example, even in this one, you'll see that I'm not really using a lot of things from external libraries. RxJS is built into the Angular framework or the Angular ecosystem, not the framework, but the ecosystem. So RxJS is installed already when you create a new Angular application. You can see that animations is part of the Angular ecosystem, Angular common, everything that you can see right now for this whole emoji thingy is actually built into Angular. Even HTTP calls are built into Angular ecosystem. We have progressive web apps built into Angular ecosystem. So there are a lot of things that are essentially built into the Angular ecosystem. So yeah, we don't really need to do all of that in this case, if that makes sense. But I may suggest injecting destroy ref. I'm actually using the until destroyed, which uses destroy ref. So this thing right here, until destroys, is coming from here, which uses the destroy ref on destroy. But good suggestion, yes, of course. So I'm using this within sort of a utils class, which essentially creates a subject, and then I can use it and it completes itself as well. So we don't need to worry about unsubscribing to this subject as well. But essentially does the same thing. What you're asking. So I am a big fan of using the take until thingy. So the take while, take until, more or less the same. So I just have created this wrapper that I can just inject this, and that means it is going to continue that without without having to worry about that. But yes, good suggestion for sure. Okay, so did we push it? I think we pushed it. So I'm gonna close this from here. Let's bring this here. I'm gonna remove this one as well. So let's quickly go to no problem at all. No problem. Let's see. So this one slash PulseChecker. Let's go to PulseChecker quickly. Let's compare and pull request. I think since these are a bit, I wouldn't say urgent because there are very few people actually using PulseChecker, but I think it's still good to push these. So, and we have set up both the backend and front end so they ignore the rest of the rest, I mean, the front end only take cares about the front end, the back end only looks at the back end folders. So that's good. We don't need to worry about that. Git status, git branch. I need to go back to my branch, which was migrate feedback to fields. Check out. By the way, the work that I'm doing on the database migration, you can definitely suggest changes on that one. Git stash pop. What is PulseChecker? Great question. I actually created this application to get feedback on the sessions, or for example, if you're conducting a talk and you want feedback on your talk from your audience anonymously without having to sign up or do anything at all, PulseChecker is a great tool to do that. So for example, if I was giving a particular talk, I don't know, I think I got some feedback from someone from a talk that I gave in Dubai. For example, this one, workshop Angular 0 to Hero. um, and this is what I can see at the end. So I can see, how good was it, did anyone follow, was it too fast, was it too slow. So it's really just to look into those. um, let me see if I can get something that has, I mean, in my at my job right now, I do have a much more data than this one, but I don't really want to show that. For example, if I look at maybe no, the workshop one, we already looked at that. We also had this one, optimizing Angular apps like a pro. I mean, this doesn't have too much data, but you can see this one. So here, 6 people actually said it's good. And then, yeah, you can see that if the pace was good, and it's really easy to use, and people can react on it as well. The good thing is that once you create a session, it allows you to add some fields to it. For example, if I say, YouTube live session, and I can say give a field name, for example, quality of the content, and here you can decide how many stars to show. Then you can also say something like, I don't know, would you recommend to others? And this is where it, since this started as a hackathon project, and then yeah, it grew massively from there. So if I just create those, and I can create the session, when you create the session, automatically the link is copied to your clipboard. So we're using the clipboard API. So yeah, thought about user experience there, and then anyone who has the link can go there, and then they can give feedback like this. So quality of the content, for example, here I can pick this, I can do this, and then I can say too slow, good pace, too fast, and I can also give comments here as well. And then I can also, or anyone in the session can react to this. And the good part there is, if I click this, if I bring this guy out, open this one right here, if you're giving a live session and you have some sort of sidekick or a manager that you have already who's looking at the screen, they can actually inform you if you're connected via headphones, or you're listening to the other person, if a lot of people actually say that you're going too fast. So for example, if I say too fast, something like this, and submit this, you can actually see the data coming in live without even having to refresh, from everyone who's basically giving you the feedback. And then you can also see all sort of reactions, for example. And in terms of reactions, like until I really stop, all the counts are taken care of in one single call. And then you should also be able to see, for example, the reactions. So these are all the reactions that are coming in as well. So yeah, that's what the project is about. What I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to improve the overall database structure for this one. I mean, it works right now, but the way I imagined it in the beginning doesn't really resonate with what I want to do. So I'm changing these feedbacks and the ratings to something a bit similar or simpler, because I want these to be configurable. Right now, like this, too slow, good pace, too fast, it is sort of hard coded. But I can imagine companies or individuals might want to have their own sort of labels around these. um, Also different kind of questions, like true or false questions, or a drop down or a checkbox. So yeah, we're looking into how complex this could be without making it too complex, because when you try to generalize a project too much, it becomes a mess. But from what I see, at least from the flexibility perspective, is the migration I'm trying to look into right now seems something that could first fasten up the process quite nicely, because right now a session has a question which we call rating config, and then the feedback is bound to that rating config, so to say. But then a session also has a feedback which contains the pace and the comment. So they are like two different things. We have a pace and comment in a feedback, and we have ratings somewhere. So instead of that, we want to have questions. A question can be of a rating. A question can also be of this type that I'm trying to call signal. But if you have a better name, do suggest. I'm going to use that. And then we have a question of type text or a comment in this case. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at the moment. Or we could also say, instead of comment, we could also say like short text, long text, or something like that as well. But then we are looking at like showing all of those right here somehow. And one more thing that we have as a problem at the moment is, if I create a new session and I want the same properties in those the same questions, then I actually have to create new fields or new questions. For example, this is a session I've already created, but if I wanted to create the exact same session, let's say, I don't know, for example, in the company that I'm working at, it's a boot camp. So every single day we have a lecture of about 30 minutes, and then they're basically left for exploring on their own, and they are then working on a lab throughout the day. But the lectures are done every day, and the questions that we want to have from them are pretty much exactly the same throughout the boot camp. The quality of the lectures content, um was the talk what the was the lecture relevant, how good you feel after the lecture from a scale of 1 to 10, blah blah blah. So those sort of things that we have are not going to change, but actually creating those fields in the database multiple times when you're creating a new session doesn't make sense. So previously when I created this, we did not also have a concept of a project. So right now all these sessions that we have right now are in a default project. But I want to be able to create more projects. I want to also be able to have these questions on the project level instead of the session level, because I have to right now duplicate all these fields on the session level. So each session has some fields. Each field has an answer by an attendee. So we are looking at getting a session, then getting all the feedbacks on that session. So it becomes a bit complex in that case. So that's what I'm looking to improve at the moment. And then also things like transferring between projects to projects, because if I leave the company, then I want them to still be able to use that, but then I want to transfer my created projects that I have in my account to that. So yeah, this could grow very very fast, very drastically, and I want to take baby steps. That is the sort of short rant of what I'm trying to do at the moment. But yeah, this started as a hackathon project, I think in 2020 or something, or maybe 2021 or 2022, I can't remember. Maybe 2022 December, yeah, 2023 start. And I streamed about 16 hours during a MongoDB hackathon. um yeah, and then this was built. So it's an interesting project for sure. So yeah, how are we looking, or what are we looking at essentially? We're looking at this thing right here. So I've created a question now, a question model, which is supposed to have an ID, a label, type, project ID, a disable, so we can disable the whole question the session, throughout the session or throughout the project sessions. The question is not bound to any sessions. The question is bound to a single project. So every project has some questions. And then you can have the created ad, updated ad, and configuration. Now this is the thing that's going to be dynamic. So what I'm thinking is, this is going to have, if you're talking about a rating from 1 to 10, then it's going to be having a rating max value. I think this should be rather an int. Wait, let me think. Yeah, so if you have a question and that is of type rating, you want to have a rating max value, not values. So it's going to be a rating max value. If you have a question that is of type multiple choice, signals, drop down, or checkboxes, then you're going to have options which will have a label of type string and value of type string. If it's a signal, then you will also have it color. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. I don't see if I want to change anything out of this, because this is JSON, and I also looked at Postgres. I'm not primarily a backend engineer, but I'm trying. So what I've seen in Postgres is that if you need to have a dynamic data or then you can use the JSON string, and I also saw that it's pretty fast when it comes to querying as well. And since I'm reusing Prisma, I think it will also make sense to just use that, and it makes things easier too. So we're gonna be creating these questions. So whatever data I have right now, I'm gonna actually migrate all of that to add a question specifically for all the data that we have, and then we're going to have responses. So we are going to actually replace the session rating that we have right now, which is bound to each session, and the feedback rating that we have right now, which is also bound to a session and an attendee, or a session and a session rating, both actually. That's what I'm going to replace, and also the feedback as well. So each question is gonna have a now let's look at the response in this case. So we have a question. Should we call it a response or should we call it an answer? I don't know. Let's call it a response maybe. And before that, let's do a tiny format. So npx prisma format. Da da da. Thank you. This looks sort of nice, but not really. PulseChecker Prisma Schema Prisma. Has it formatted it? It doesn't look like it has formatted it, to be honest. Oh, it has done it, but it actually changed it. So okay, I'm actually gonna say don't save. Okay, now it has formatted it. So this was not value. It was supposed to be an int, and this looks nice. Okay, so then I can look into a response maybe. So a model of response should have the same thing. It should have an ID. um a response is essentially a combination of a feedback and feedback rating. So if I go to feedback, where is the feedback? Here it is. So I'm going to actually move this guy just above feedback rating. So each feedback essentially should contain attendee ID and this. So for example, if I go to do 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 I'm going to look at the question from Twitch as well. Give me 1 second. So question is this, where's the response? So here we do need the created at, updated at, attendee ID, session ID. The comment should, I think we can leave the comment because the response can be for any question type. We do want to have a question ID because each response is going to be against a question. So we do need a string for this because each question is of type string. Then we also want a relation. So we're going to say that we have a question that is related to this, and one question has the problem is one question can have multiple answers. I mean, it's not a problem. So one question can have multiple responses and each response will be of a particular attendee. So this one means we should have a question and we should have a relation that should have fields, and the field should have question ID, and we should reference the ID of the question, and on delete of the question we need to cascade delete as well. Then we also need to set this right here. So we should have responses and this is going to be of type response. Mutahir says, with looking at the code, I saw that you used enum for keys. I watched Matt Pocock and implemented his solution, good for the compiler and better use of TS. Although it's not like a prohibited thing, but it's a not recommended thing in TS. But I got you, but this is not TS. It looks like TS, but this is a schema file, or this is a Prisma file, a .prisma file. So this yeah, I can't use TS or TypeScript in it. But yeah, I understand what you mean. When we'll go to the TS part, I think we can look at that there for sure. Okay, so this looks good. Let's format this. Okay, so this looks nice. So we have ID, session, attendee, question, created, updated as each feedback also had an attendee. So we also need the relations like these, and each response can belong to a session as well. So we do need these relations right here. So question, attendee, and attendee ID. Now we need to add these to the attendee, and we need to add this right here as well. So we need to say I'm thinking, so each session can have multiple attendees and each attendee can respond to multiple sessions, which makes sense. But each response can be from one single attendee, or one response can, or a response can only be from one attendee, but one attendee can give multiple responses, if you understand what I mean. So in this case, we would have to say that an attendee has multiple responses. So I'm gonna actually go here and say responses and responses. So this one is taken care of. Each session can also have multiple responses as well. So I'm trying to see if I can get the responses for each session by multiple individuals or no. When I'm trying to query the results, then I'm gonna have to query them by their question, or I'm thinking about the order. So the order that I'm gonna get the questions for has to be the same order. Or can I also, because then I would also have to add the order of the question as well. But so each question would also have to have an order as well. What is the best way to put the order in the schema? Can I just put a, yeah, I can just put an int here, and I think the default can be 0. So each question will have an order. The response does not have to have an order. The response can be rendered along the question itself. This makes sense to me. Session. Each response belongs to one session, because a response can only be off or inside one session. One response cannot be in multiple sessions. But we also have to then tell the sessions that you can have multiple responses. So in here, I'm gonna have to say responses. Oops. And here we have response. Okay, I think this is starting to make sense at the moment. So we do have the projects are containing the questions. The responses are inside the session. If I delete a question from my project, poof, they're gone from all the sessions. both the questions and the responses, which makes perfect sense. Um, yeah, I think this is good. I think this is good. I think this could work. But that means now I need to also migrate all my rating configurations to a question, and then I need to also migrate all my feedbacks to responses. But I think this is solid. What do you think? Do you think this could work, or do I need to change anything? Or do you have any solutions or suggestions? Or am I missing anything? I'm going to double check from feedback as well. So the pace is here. Oh, value. The response doesn't have a value. So value is actually going to be of type JSON, unfortunately, because the value can differ. I mean, if you have the question as if you have the question of type something, for example, of type a comment, then the value here is going to be of type string, or a JSON that has a value of a string, right? So I don't know if I should call it value or if I should call it something else. I think the value makes much more sense. So the response value or response metadata or response data. I don't know what is a good name here. Response value, response metadata, response data. What do you think is a good property name here? Should we ask our friend ChatGPT for this, or Bard or Gemini? Hmm. Response content. Mm. Content is a vague term, but so is data, so is metadata. I mean, it's not really metadata. It could be content. But if I'm saying get me, if I had a drop down and a value for a drop down like forms.new, so forms.new. So if I had a form that had a question, and if I looked at this question and click this, then what would be the value for this one? So this is the question, and I have an answer to that, or a response. Response content, response.content, response.value, response.content, response.value. What do you think? Response content, response value, response data. I think we would have to go with value. I think content seems like a good alternate as well, but I'm thinking if it sounds better than value. Do you think it's better than value? Because I'm confused as well. Because this value or content, whatever it is, it could have text or comment. So response.value.comment, response.content.comment, if you understand what I mean. But if we have a drop down that we have selected, then what we say? What do we say then? So if I had the question of type rating, then I want to have something that says, I don't know, the ratings value. Now it can't be, yeah, now it cannot be response.value.value. So maybe we can call this content. So then we have a value. The value can be of type, it can be of type int, it can be of type number, or not number, string. Because if you have a question type comment, then the value is a string. If you have a type of the question type is rating, then you have a number. If you have a multiple choice question, then you still have, I think, a string value, right? But if you have got a signal, then you also have one single value. But if you have a drop down, then also I think you have got one single value. um but but if you have a checkbox, then you have multiple values that could have been selected. So it could also be string array, I think. So it could be int, string, or an array of strings. That's what I think. But then why are we calling this comment? Can't we just have a value of type int, string, and string, right? It could also be of type, because if it's a rating bool comment, how would go with basic HTML, like inspiration from select option, response option, response dot option. But the problem is it's not always going to be a select box, right? It can be just a comment. So rating bool comment. Because what doesn't sound good is response dot options or option, and then you have inside the option you have something like that, or option dot rating, response dot option dot rating, or response dot option dot comment. What I'm thinking is, in this case, because you, I mean, even when you're doing like a yes or no or a boolean, you could have used just a multiple choice question. For example, if you look at the forms, did I remove forms? So even if you try to use a boolean here, like a multiple choice, then even you have a question like, do you smoke? And you can see that now the suggestions are yes, no, maybe. So this is sort of a boolean question, but still you have, even if you add yes and no, you can see. So it's a boolean question, but the value that you'll select is going to be treated as a string. That's what I'm thinking. So not a boolean in this case. So we have checkboxes, drop down. Yeah, we could have a linear scale as well. Answer, response dot answer. Now we're actually dwelling into something different. That could be interesting. Response dot answer dot value. Hmm. 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 Answer. I like that one. I'm thinking over it. By the way, how are you doing, Nabil bhai? It's a long time no see. What are you doing at this time? Isn't it 3? No, 4? It's almost 4 a.m. Have you woke up for Fajr or what? So content and answer, I think, are something that we could really work with. Response dot answer dot value. I think I like the answer thingy. I think. I think. Can the content also contain anything that could come inside? For example, if we use content, is there anything else that we think is important and could come in this? So for example, looking at Google form, let's say I chose something like a linear scale. I have a label right here on a scale of 1 to 5. So we have two different labels here, but you get one value. So in this one, the value is an integer. If I have a multiple choice grid, then I have multiple rows, but I don't think I'm gonna have multiple choice grid. To be honest, I don't think so. If I have a date, then this has a string value because you can get that. If I have a time, that is also a string value. So yeah, I don't think so. File upload, meh, could be there, could not be there. Don't really know. Uh But yeah, paragraph, long answer text. Mm-mm-mm. I could have multiple options here. Hmm. I think I'll go with content for now. Content seems good. So response.content.value is gonna be the one that we'll take it, and then the value can be anything. Fine, alhamdulillah, great to see you, brother. Same here, same here, same here, same here. It's good. I'm hoping to visit Pakistan soon, but I don't really know when. So it's a yeah, it's not decided, or it depends on when I get some decisions from the government offices here, and then I have my card renewed, and then I can do something. But what are you working on these days, or which team are you in? Okay, so response.content seems good. Now what I want to do is I want to create, I think I'm not really sure if I should put this in the PC UI library, because I did create some interfaces inside this. I don't know if I should be creating these interfaces, or should I just create a minimal library for just interfaces, and then I can basically have them imported in both PC UI and then also inside the other places as well. Thinking. So I'm not really duplicating a lot of stuff. Or I could just use them. I mean, right now, if I try to abstract too much, then I'm gonna actually distract from the work that I want to do, and then it's gonna be too much. So I'm gonna use a shorthand. So let's create some interfaces in this case. So what we're gonna do is in PC UI, we're gonna create an interface for. I mean, we have a feedback interface, but let's say we should have a question dot interface dot ts, and this one is gonna have a and this one is gonna have an export type question. We can call it, I think, PC, because none of the other ones use PC questions. So or PC in that. Right now it's like session feedback with count, feedback with an Indian ratings. Question uh question with config. Let's say that is the type we are creating, or interface, so to say, interface. And this one essentially should inherit or sort of implement or extend the other one. So let's quickly say, I'm going to say npx prisma generate. So I think I'm pretty happy with the prisma that we have. What? Oh no, this happens all the time. I don't like it. Yarn prisma generate. Ah, operation not permitted, unlink. Is it because I'm running a server? It could be. Yes. Stop the server. Yeah, it is because I was running the server. Okay, so now that we have the Prisma thingy generated, we can basically say interface implements question, which comes from Prisma client, or actually I think I can do this. No? Can't I do this? Extends question, actually. So the configuration right here is gonna be interesting. So I think now it comes to how do we type this correctly, because if we want to say that if the type is this, then we do this, otherwise we do that, and blah blah blah, right? So the configuration in here should be of type, is because we also want the types for this as well. So how do we do that? Let's say TypeScript type based on another type. That's what we want to say. Select props, interface, multiple boolean, extend select props, on change. Because I know discriminated unions can be used, but I do want to know. So is multiple true? Ah, okay. Interesting. Interesting. Then I could use that. Okay. I mean, thinking. There's so many weird ways of doing the same thing, but I don't like any of those. Creating types from types. Conditional types. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Conditional types. So if I have an interface animal and interface dog extended animal, the woof is void. Okay. So then I can say docs extend animal, then number, otherwise a string. Interesting. Can I use the same thing inside? Oh, but can I do this inside the interface itself? But I can see the types being used, but what about interfaces? Or should I defer to types? Because I think type could be easier. For example, if I say configuration, so right now this one can be, but now here, I mean, here we have the issue where how do you define? It could be this or that or that, because the type in this case is important. Okay, so let's say we define a couple of types. So we can say export, or we have, for example, a type that says then I'm gonna defer to types in this case. So we have type of a question that could be type comment, no, question comment equals, no, yeah, equals here question, and then here we need to say configuration. No, the type is gonna be question type dot because this is enum. Can I not say that this is of type? I think I should have said comment. No, wait a second. Comment. And then here I should be able to say that this is gonna be the configuration so here we said the configuration is going to be of type JSON. So for the type of question, we don't really need a configuration update. I think for comment we don't really need anything at all, because the config can have options, but the question, this one doesn't really need anything. Okay, so then we can also say a question of type signal, question signals. Then here we can say the type of would be signals, and then we could also have the configuration that should contain this. It should contain an array or options, which should be an array of, so label of type string, value of type string, and color of type string as well. So we do need this. Then we can also say export type question rating equals question, and type is gonna be rating. Is it rating though? Question type, question type, question type, question type, rating. Then we have configuration, and here we can have this, but in this case we don't really need the string. Okay, so if we do question or export type question with configuration, question with config equals, now we are talking about question comment, question signals, question rating. And my battery just died. I'm gonna switch it quickly. Let's see. So then we have, okay, so we have question with config right here, right? So if I go to my component and let's say I go to pulse meter, I'm just trying to check something really quick. Or let's go to paste background. No, let's go to something that actually has an ng on in it. Let's say this one. So if I say const l, and here we do have the type question with config, let's quickly import that, equals, and now if I start typing type, and now I can give comment, rating, and signals. This is good because I have multiple types, but I've only given a discriminated union for these, which can only have, yeah, which can only have comment, signals, and rating. Otherwise, if I just said question, I would have multiple of them. So if I try to use comment, then I can say configuration. Now this configuration can be of type Prisma JSON value, which means I can provide anything into this. So I can say something true, something else false. And if I use this right here, this should be okay, right? Question in config. Why does it cry for this one? Is it because I need config to say as prisma.json object? I think that's because. But isn't this question in config exactly? No. So comment question is missing the following properties from get result. Aha, because I'm not providing other values. Of course, yes. Okay. So if I say partial, then it would work. But I also need to provide other things as well. Of course. My bad. So then I also need to provide ID. I don't know. Project ID. And the rest of the stuff. Can I do a quick fix? No? Okay, no, I can't. What are the missing properties? So it is missing the following properties: ID, label, order, disable, created at, updated at. Okay, so then also it has label, created at, new date, and updated at, new date. disable false. What else am I missing? Order. Cool. So now EL is happy. We are happy as well. So no issues right here. But if I change this to signals and I don't provide this guy right here, then should it cry? Because here it should have said something like something true is not assignable to type string, right? But why? Signals configuration something true is property of type configuration are incompatible. This is what we are talking about. I think I have that installed in my laptop, but not here. Pretty TypeScript error. Thank you for the recommendation. So in here, yeah, so this one configuration is actually not assignable to JSON value options label value color. This is good. This is what we wanted, right? So if I'm using signals, then I have to provide the right value. So here I can only provide options. Look at this. This is amazing. And here then I can have the options which are of type, or is it of type array? There we go, right? And then I can provide a label. Oh, look at that. And then I can also have a value. Look at that. And then I can also have a color. This is good stuff. So this is okay. But if I change this to rating, then I can't have it. So if I say rating, now you can see I can't use colors. So we have used the discriminated union types to essentially do what we wanted to do. That's good. But the thing is, in rating, we don't really want an options of array. I think the only thing that we wanted here was a rating max value or configuration max value. Max val of type int number. So that's what we want. So this configuration is not okay, because if it's a rating, what we want here is a max val of 5. Super nice. I love it. That's why I love TypeScript, but I also hate it because it's TypeScript, because now you need to know all of that that crazy stuff that we just did in order to do this. Okay, no problem. So we talked about question rating. We also talked about question. We talked about comment rating. Now we have multiple choice, drop down, and checkboxes, I think. So you can have question with options. Should we say options in this case? Question with options. So multiple choice, checkboxes, and all of those could then have the same thing. So this one would have this right here, or I could have said the same thing, which is I'm not really sure. Mutahir says, I think defining a separate type for comment rating in an interface and then union them for every time you add a new type of a response is kind of not a very reasonable approach. I think it is though, because now I only want to work with question. I'm only going to use question with config. I'm never going to use all of these types actually. And if I don't want to export them, I can actually remove them completely, because I don't think I'm even going to be exporting these, if that makes sense. So question with, if I, all I have to do is I have to create one time this config as a union, and then I can decide on when I'm actually using the code to just use it, because you can see I'm not really importing anything else from here. I don't even have to import Prisma in this one. So what would be the alternate that you can think of apart from this one? So for checkboxes, I think for checkboxes, drop down, multiple choice, I think we can also do the same. So in this case, we have checkboxes. If I can use the checkboxes, we have multiple choice, which should be, if I can just say question type. So this one has comment, rating, multiple choice, signals, drop down. So checkboxes, multiple choice, drop down. So if I have any of these, then that means I'm going to be easily able to do this, right? And then if I go to my component right now and go here and change this to, I don't know, checkboxes, then I can instantly see that I have to use the right options label value string in this case. So this has to have an options that is going to have a label and also going to have a value. I think this is pretty decent. So here now I can use a drop down, which also makes this enable and multiple choice as well, which makes it pass. And if I just used the type that was signals, then I also need to provide the color. So I think this is pretty decent, but if you have an alternate, do share, and then we can look into it as well. We have attendee created at comment, attendee paste. I think this is nice, not too bad. Mutahir says 2 repeated operations for every new type of response. Create a new type, union with others in final types. What I'm saying is second option can be omitted with a different approach. What is the different approach? That's what I'm asking. What is the different approach that you're suggesting? Because I don't know the other approach. So if you can share what you mean, then I can essentially use that. Because if I have to create a new type, and that yeah, so we can't just say this is bad unless we know something that is an alternate and could be better. So right now, if I have to create a new file, and if I have to, because we have one situation where we have no types at all, which is prisma.json, right? We have another situation where we have, using these, we have good types and accurate types based on the type I'm using. So I know that there could be some situations where we could use, instead of discriminated unions, we could probably have used either different classes or interfaces as well. But I think when it comes to types itself, then yes, if I have to change anything, I would have to come to this type and then change it. But this union is essentially what's making everything possible. So based on the type of a particular element, using an enum, we are able to actually say what kind of configuration we are providing. But yeah, I'm gonna look into it as well. I don't know of an alternate, so to say. So I'm gonna go with the approach that I usually use, which is make it work and then make it pretty. So if this works well, then I think we're good. Cool. Alrighty. I do see one problem, that was the emoji state. So when do we use this at all? Do we use it right here at all? No. So why do I have this animation in there? Because I don't really use the animations at all. So I can actually remove that. We have animate that we are using right here. Yeah, we actually moved the transition from the actual animation right here to the other place. So that's good. So I can remove all of that code that I'm not really using. Cool. We have one issue, and that is all my components right now, which should have a different. So when you create an NX library, you do have this thingy where you need to specify the prefix. Right now it's lib. What I want to use is I want to use PC UI, For example, PC UI emoji bar instead of lib. So right now it complains that this should be instead of PulseChecker, it should be lib. We don't want lib. We need to say PC. We could say PC button loader or PC loader, PC emoji bar. I think let's just go with PC or PC UI. What do we say? PC UI. For example, for material, it's called just MD, not MDUI. Let's go with PC. For the component selector, we also have PC. Let's save this. So now this should say PC. That's good. Then we should also have these changed. So let's change those pretty quickly. So in here, we can say PC emoji bar. I'm using that inside the emoji bar component, and then also the sessions. Let's quickly replace those. PC emoji bar, this is happy. The rest of the things are happy as well. Let's go from the top to bottom. So in this case, we can also go here. PulseChecker button with loader. Damn. What a humongous name. PC. PC button with loader. Shorter, but okay. Feedback form. PulseChecker feedback form. Should I do it in this PR? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not in this one. So then I'll not do that. It's very tempting to actually go inside and do all those changes, but I don't want to do. I want to focus on in this particular PR. I do want to focus on just the Prisma thingy, so nothing else. So I'm gonna have to revert everything else. The Docker Compose can still stay there. Prisma thingy can also go up. We also created an interface. This also can go. But then session, which doesn't change anything apart from PC, ESLint, also PC, button with loader, blah, blah, blah. Emoji bar. What did we change in the emoji bar? We did change a bunch of things, right? But this I can revert. Emoji map, we fixed an issue here as well, but we also, no, I think it's just one saved thingy. I'm gonna save this guy. So emoji bar component got some changes. Session PC, ESLint PC, just PC, and just PC. Cool. So these can be reverted then. So I'm gonna discard all of them. Let's close, and then I can just commit. So I'm gonna actually wrap it up here today. So we have a good thing to start with. So we have the types that we can start using. What I'm gonna actually do is I do have a script that is in the works. So this one, the merge fields one, is in the works. So what I want to do is I want to go through all the projects, all the rating configs, create questions from those rating configs, create responses from all the feedbacks that we have, all the feedbacks and all the session feedbacks as well. Like these ratings are the ones. So these are questions, these are responses, but I also want another kind of response. It's too much, but we'll do that. But this is currently in the work. So we have created a schema for the field, created enum types, created a field inside the projects matching against that we have done. I think can maybe check. So create this is done. What we want to do also is to create, no, I mean this is not done, but I can write this in a better way. Create a question schema for, now this is a question types. I called it fields before. Create a model for question and answers or responses. Response, this is done. create types for the questions in TS. Done. Now the next step for us is to work on the script to create a question against each for each session. Now this is going to be tricky because we have already some sessions which have similar questions but not the same, so it's not one entity. We have to take them out one by one, but we also need to take the answers out of all of them as well, so it's going to be a bit tricky, but we'll see. So maybe we should start with, no, we have to have the questions first and then we should have the responses. So create a question against each rating config, work on the script to create a response against each session rating and feedback. Two different tables. These are tables. Then we also have to, once this is done, then I also want to, I don't want to delete the existing data unless everything is working on the front end with the new one. Hello mama. नींद नहीं आ रही आपको अभी तक? क्या कर रहे थे? Space. All right, anyways, so I'm gonna quickly push this. Space दबाना है आपको? Let's quickly do that. चलो यहाँ पे दबाओ space. ये रहा. हाँ दबा दो. ये वाला दबाना है. चलो इसके लिए तो फिर बाबा जल्दी से सबको बाय बाय बोल देते हैं, अल्लाह हाफिज़ बोल देते हैं. ठीक है, आप भी बोल दो अल्लाह हाफिज़, बाय बाय. बाय बाय. वहाँ पे बाय बाय. हे दो बाय बाय. चलो, then I can do git commit, work in progress, updated Prisma. See the head? Schema for question and response. Chalo, let's quickly push that. Alright everyone, need to go. Got someone who's gonna try to work on my PC. So take care and have fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Allah Hafiz.